ሄሎ 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 ሃው አር ዩ ኤቭሪባዲ እንዴት ናችሁ? ሰላም ናችሁ ልጆች? እንግዲህ ዛሬም ያው በቀጣዩ ምናልባት የመጨረሻው በምለው የፕሮቶዞዋ ሴሽን የፕሮቶዞዋ ሌሰን መጥቻለሁ። እንግዲህ ፕሊዝ ሰብስክራይብ ሼር ኤንድ ላይክ እንደ ኦልሶ ኮሜንት ለእድገታችን ይረዳናል። ፕሊዝ ሌትስ ጎ ዊዛውት ማች አዶ ቱ ዘ ሌክቸር ፕሊዝ ናው. The next part, continued part from the sporozoans. I have told you last time. We have discussed about one disease, one common disease of sporozoans, the plasmodium. The second, as far as my lecture is concerned, here is cryptosporidium, which causes cryptosporodiasis, the disease, one common sporozoan or apicomplex and disease. Cryptosporidium, sometimes called crypto. It's not cryptocurrency, please. It's crypto, in short, is a genus of an apicomplexan parasites that can cause a respiratory and gastrointestinal illness known as cryptosporidiosis that primarily involves watery diarrhea, intestinal, when the infection is intestinal, or when the disease is intestinal, cryptosporidiosis, and sometimes with a persistent cough. This one is respiratory cryptosporidiosis. You see, it affects two systems, the breathing system, so that related with coughing and related symptoms. The other is GI tract. It can go to your GI tract, cause some sort of diarrhea, that is watery diarrhea. Therefore, it is both the respiratory and gastrointestinal illness like cryptosporidiosis, especially serious in infants or kids. A number of species infect mammals, and in humans, the main cause of disease are Cryptosporidium parvum and Cryptosporidium hominis. These are the two species of Cryptosporidium that are common cause of disease in humans. What disease? The GI tract disease, diarrhea, watery diarrhea, and also respiratory disease. But the following species can also cause disease in humans. This Cryptosporidium canis, from dog to humans. Cryptosporidium felis, from cat to humans. It can spread from cat to human if there is contact with cat feces, dog feces. And also Cryptosporidium meleagridis and Cryptosporidium muris. These are also known to cause disease in humans. Transmission is commonly by ingestion, fecal oral route, or inhalation of coughed on fomites. This is, of course, less common. If an infected person whose respiratory tract is infected by Cryptosporidium coughs on some material, cough, that from that cough or from the droplets of that cough, the material is infected or infested with this parasite. If that material is used without being washed cleanly, it may transmit the pathogen. Therefore, inhalation of coughed on fomites. Fomites are materials in this case on which infected, the individuals infected with this sporozoan have coughed on. Therefore, it contains droplets of saliva and sputum. Affected. Of course, this is less common. Cryptosporidiosis is typically an acute, short-term infection. You see, short incubation period. You are infected means immediately the disease symptoms appear. Therefore, it is acute, short-term infection, but can be severe or life-threatening in immunocompromised individuals. You see, it may be not that much big deal in those individuals with a strong, well-developed immune system. But when it comes to immunocompromised individuals with weak immune system, it could be fatal, especially in individuals with HIV/AIDS. In human, it remains in the lower intestine and may remain for up to 5 weeks without causing infection. The parasite is transmitted by environmentally hardy cystis, the cystis oocysts, that once ingested exist in the small intestine and result in an infection of intestinal epithelial tissue. It remains there attached for long period of time. They reproduce within the intestinal epithelial cells and has three developmental stages: merontis, gamontis, oocystis. You see, cyst, it possesses cyst stage. It one, oocystis. The cryptosporidium spore phase, which is known as also oocyst. This is for adaptation to survive and to survive outside of the host and spread to another host. The cryptosporidium spore phase, also known as oocyst, can survive for lengthy periods outside a host. It can also resist many common disinfectants, including chlorine-based disinfectants. You see, it is hardy cyst form which can resist environmental pressures. Even it can resist toxic chemicals, you see, in order to survive and be transmitted to another new host. This is adaptation. The other, the third Sporozoan, that is common causative agent of disease, is known as toxoplasma. Therefore, it causes toxoplasmosis, the disease toxoplasmosis. And another common apicomplexan infection is toxoplasmosis caused by Toxoplasma gondii. This is really the most common, Toxoplasma gondii. This parasite can infect almost any warm-blooded animal, including humans, with cats serving as the primary host for sexual reproduction. Cats, especially, this parasite loves cats as primary host for transmission. Therefore, if you come in contact with cat drops or cat waste, especially the waste of cat, contaminated with your food or water with your hand, and if it gets into your GI tract, that is the transmission route. Humans become infected by direct or indirect contact with cat poo or cat feces, or by eating undercooked meat of undercooked or uncooked meat of infected individuals. I mean animals. Eating contaminated meat that is raw or not well cooked, this is also major transmission. Using utensils or materials or cutting boards after they have had contact with contaminated raw meat. Okay, contaminated materials. And drinking infected water. If the water is come in contact with dead bodies of animals that have been infected by this parasite, or by the feces, waste material of these animals, contaminated. Receiving an infected organ transplant or blood transfer, of course, rare case. If an individual is infected and resistant, but still contains the organism inside, some organs, where these organs with their parasites are transplanted to an individual, that individual not only receives the organ, also receives the parasite with the organ. Toxoplasmosis is usually mild in people with normal immune response, but can infect the brain, and the heart, and also the lungs, the three vital organs, you see. People who are immunocompromised, see, it can go to the brain, the breathing system, lungs, and also the heart. It can also be transmitted congenitally and infect the nervous system of the infected child. You see, congenital infection. It could pass from the mother to the baby. While many human infections are asymptomatic, It can cause severe disease in individuals with weakened immune system. This is redundancy, of course, and lead to congenital defects if acquired during pregnancy. You see, congenital defects, defects that you get because during birth because you have been infected during pregnancy. That means crossing the placenta goes to the fetus, transplacental transmission, or it can be transmitted during the natural birth through the vagina if the parasite is there in the mucous membrane of the mother's vagina, of course, can be transmitted. You can see this is a parasite, Toxoplasma gondii. The other disease causing Sporozoa is Babesia, and the disease is known as Babesiasis, of course. And Babesiasis is caused by Babesia species. There are many species of Babesia. Yes. It is a tick-borne illness, tick-borne illness that infects red blood cells, causing symptoms similar to malaria, as I've told you earlier, similar to malaria, such as fever, chills, fatigue, and can be severe in immunocompromised individuals whose immune system is weakened by some means because of some problem. And the other groups are also, this one are known, of course. Coccidia also cause coccidiosis. Do not confuse with coccidia. Coccidiosis or coccidia. Coccidia, a group of sporozoans here, with coccidioides. Take care of this terminology. Coccidioides. This is a fourth parasitic fungus we have discussed in the mycology section. Coccidioides is different from coccidia. Coccidia is protozoa belonging to sporozoans. Coccidioides is a genus of fungus, parasitic fungi. Coccidiacina, also known as Coccidiacina, are obligate intracellular parasites belonging to the apicomplex. And imagine, these are unique. They are obligate intracellular. They must enter inside cells, just like viruses, to multiply and cause disease. Whereas many other apicomplexes are only partly that they are intracellular. And coccidia live in both vertebrates and invertebrates, primarily in the cells that lie in the intestine. Infection in humans and other animals results in a disease known as coccidiosis. Coccidian parasites infect the intestinal tract of animals. GI tract are the largest group of apicomplex and protozoa, of course. From the largest, of course, these are the groups that causes even serious damage to the poultry industry, poultry farming, because they cause serious diarrheal disease in chicken, which can kill them. Infection with this parasite is known as coccidioides, and coccidia can infect all mammals, some birds, some fish, some reptiles, some amphibians. Of course, most species of coccidia are species-specific in their host. An exception is Toxoplasma gondii, which can infect all mammals, although it can only undergo sexual reproduction in cats. Sometimes Toxoplasma gondii is also considered as a member of this coccidia. Okay? This can infect all mammals, of course, including humans and domestic animals. It can only undergo sexual reproduction in cats. That's why the sexual cats are very important as far as pathogenesis is concerned. Depending on the species of coccidia, infection can cause fever, vomiting, diarrhea, massive pain, nervous system effects, and changes to behavior because of the fact that it can also go to the nervous system, brain. It can bring about behavioral change, some sort of madness, you can call it. Humans generally become infected by eating undercooked meat, but can contract infection with the Toxoplasma gondii, especially by poor hygiene when handling a cat. I have told you this. Therefore, here coccidia is considered as one big group, to which Toxoplasma gondii also belongs, and many other varieties that cause disease in humans as well as domestic animals. Thank you very much. Here is the end of proposal section. Thank you very much. Please don't forget subscription, liking, and sharing. Bye bye.